All right. Hi, everybody. We're back to Inspired Action Life podcast. And I've been away for a minute from these video podcasts. So I just went ahead and planned kind of a new series of fresh faces and fresh ideas of people that I wanted to talk to that I've come in contact, just really naturally. I think that it was sort of divinely appointed that I stumble upon these people. I admire what they're doing. And so, hey, I just say, let's talk. Okay. And are you willing? And, my friend here, Brooke, my new friend, Brooke, is willing to do that. So what I'm going to tell you about her today is what I know, but I'll let her go a little bit more deeper into the rabbit hole, exactly why she's doing what she's doing, how she got there. So I've known her from her work on Instagram, that I followed a story that she was doing her zone of genius, which is she was doing a retreat like planning business where she was kind of doing the behind the scenes, all the coordinating stuff that takes that special skill to do. She probably does overall events, but we're going to find out here in just a few minutes, all different kinds of events. But I saw her literally on the job doing what she was doing. And I was loving her creativity and how she was going about her work and just laughing and smiling. So it was clear she loves what she does. And I just got to get the 411 on this because I want to know how she got to what she's doing and if this is like a calling she feels like she has. So I'm going to give her the floor in just 1 second. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Brooke Dumas. And she lives in California and San Diego to be specific, but she didn't always live there. So how are you doing today, Brooke?
I am fabulous. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm just pumped. How are you today?
I'm doing so great. I mean, like I said before I turned the camera on, we got sun. And unlike you now spoiled ones in California, we don't get that all the time in the Midwest. So this is like a special treat for me. And so it's like the energizer to my battery, it's just like, it's the whole thing that makes it go for me. So I'm stoked. So I'm so glad to be able to talk to you today because there's so much information that you have that I want. And so you are super valuable. Your content's super valuable and rich for this podcast today. So tell me this. So I already explained what you do, but how did you come to do that? What's your story? How'd you get there and all that?
Great question. So, I was one of the few people that I actually went to college for event planning. So I went to college for the thing that I actually do. One of the few people in this
Wow.
world, I know, beyond the doctors and things, that you actually legit need your degree for what you do.
Unusual. Yeah.
I know. So I went to school. I knew I always wanted to be in the world of events, and I was very much so focused on corporate. When I was in college, I graduated college.
Mhm.
So many of the people that were in my program really wanted to be wedding planners, and I thought they were batshit crazy. I'm like,
Ah,
how do you want to plan weddings for your like career and deal with brides? Like, oh no, not me.
yeah,
I'm
the
going to do corporate.
neurotic, that whole neurosis that goes along with
Exactly.
wedding planning.
Yes. And so I had this like vision of me in the corner office in a like black power suit with a thin Britney Spears mic set to bark orders
Of
at people.
course, you got the whole
Of
story going
course.
on. You build up the
Yes.
story. I love it.
Yes. Oh, yes. I had the vision. I was going to do 5,000 person events with my Britney Spears mic, barking orders at people. It was going to be great. And so when I graduated college, the experience that I had had at that point leading up is I had a really hard time finding corporate event planning experience. And I found a ton of experience in wedding planning. So graduated college, ended up finding a position in corporate, didn't have a ton of experience working in it though.
Yeah.
The moment I got into corporate, I learned corporate was not for me at all. It just felt
Oh.
like I was in prison. It felt like a
It's
trap.
very antiseptic and very limited, isn't it?
It
I started
is
in that world too, thinking I was doing
totally.
one thing, and it's too antiseptic and methodical for me.
It is. And especially for people who are extremely spirited and have that entrepreneurial spirit to begin with, it
Yes.
feels like prison.
Yes, it
So I got into it for a little while. I just knew within 2 weeks I was not meant for corporate and really wanted to start a business. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. And the thing that it came down to was, I really know wedding planning. I know how to plan weddings well. I've done a lot of this in internships. I'm going to start a wedding planning business. So I did in
So
2016.
you went there anyway,
Yep. So
despite the
I did.
whole neurosis and everything else. I get you. You got to go where the
Totally.
work is. So,
Yep. So
all
in
right.
2016, I started my wedding planning business and Stella Luna Events, which was based. So I lived in Michigan, born and raised in Michigan. That's where I started my business
All right.
and grew it to a 6-figure business, was absolutely slaying the game. We were doing so many like events all over Michigan. We were doing them in California, South Carolina, Colorado, like really was growing this thing to do
Wow.
quite well. And once I kind of got into it a little bit more, I just started to realize more and more how much my heart was not in wedding planning and how much weddings just like didn't fuel my fire and light me up and get me excited. And so I
Yeah.
knew I wanted to do something else, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I
Right.
also had this weird guilt that I had this super successful wedding planning business and I didn't want to just give up on it.
Right.
So,
Sure.
in about a year ago, actually, I was at a retreat. Funny enough, one of my girlfriends hired me to come plan her retreat
Oh,
in
there
San
we go.
Diego, which has always been one of my favorite places where I had been wanting to live for a really long time. So I went to her retreat, and the whole basis of the retreat was about like human design and learning about your human design and using that power to help shape your life and your career. And so I decided there in that moment, as I was also, learning more about human design and executing this retreat, I was like, wow, this would be amazing if I could like get paid to do this. Like, I mean,
Yes.
I was getting
Yeah.
paid, but
You're
it was like, if I
getting
could
there.
get,
You're on that purpose now. Because once you
yeah.
start to connect that thought, now you know something's going.
Yes. And so I was like, it'd be so nice if I could like get paid to do this. Like for reals, get paid.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. Like
had
real cash
host
money. Yeah.
totally. And I had hosted some events in my business. I have this conference called the Haven Conference that I try to host one a year. And I'd done plenty of those and realized that I had this gift of planning events for entrepreneurs, for people in their businesses. And it was something that I wasn't seeing other people doing in the world. There wasn't a lot of retreat planners or event planners focused for entrepreneurs.
Right.
And so the seed was planted. And so I started thinking, okay, well, how could I make this work? How could I make this work living in Michigan? There's not a huge market for this in Michigan. I knew that my goal was to move to San Diego, but it felt like that goal wasn't going to happen until about 2022. So I was like, okay, how can I make this work? So slowly started trying to build it. I also just fully surrendered to the universe and said, this is the path that I want to be on. This is really what I want to do, but I don't know how to make this work. So I'm putting this in your hands. And then, funny enough, my husband gets a job opportunity to move to San Diego within.
Stop. Stop. Okay.
Yep.
That's the stuff I love. And I'm going to be circling back around to that. Continue. I'm coming back. Okay.
Yes. So this was, I think, maybe 7 months after the retreat. He gets a job opportunity to move to San
Unbelievable.
Diego. And it was so funny because about 2 months before we even knew this could be a thing, he had said to me, hey, how would you feel if we moved to San Diego in 2 months? And he didn't know about the job. He didn't know about the position. He knew. And I was like, I'm not ready. I still have wedding contracts. I don't have my stuff together with retreats yet. Like I'm not ready. It's not happening till 2022. And then of course, the universe is like, oh, you're not ready? Okay, here we go. Floop, let
Okay.
me push you off the cliff. So he got the position and we ended up moving. And so that's when I went all in on retreat planning and launching that side of my business. And it has just been explosive. And I've had the opportunity to spend a month in Costa Rica already, like
That's
doing
where I saw
retreats.
you.
Yes, that's where you saw me.
Yeah, that's where
It
I
was
saw
so
what was going on.
magical. And so, yeah. And now I'm chatting with clients that we're doing retreats in Greece, Bali, literally all over the world, all over the United States. So it's so amazing. So I still own my wedding planning business, and I'm actually in the process of bringing on a partner to help me like manage that business and take care of that. So then I can go all in and really focus on the retreat planning side of things.
That is okay. All right, listen. You are the reason this podcast exists. I mean, it's stuff like this, and here's why. Because if there's what am I saying? If I know there's people like me and other people who have these like great ideas and take these risks, but we just go like a measured risk. We don't
Mhm.
go all in, and we watch people like you. I found you through Taylor Simpson because I was following Taylor Simpson, who is also into like spiritual world, and you were doing that amazing event in Costa Rica, amazing, completely amazing, and what makes you take risk when like maybe somebody like me who I'm moving the dial, but other people aren't taking that risk? And now I'm getting a little nugget. I'm getting a backstory that where, when the universe wants you to move, you're moving. Whether you think it's time or not, it's never really about your timeline. It's about the best, the greatest good for you, for your highest good.
Absolutely. And I think I always like one thing I always say is like, if this is meant to happen and if this is the greatest good for not only for me, but for all, like it
Yes.
will just naturally happen. And I think that's such a big part of just surrendering to the process and not having a controlled grip the entire time. I think so many of us feel like we need to control every little detail, but there's so much beauty in just surrendering
There
sometimes.
is. I
Mhm.
mean, and why do we torture ourselves? I don't know. I mean, like I'll think of 1,000 reasons of why it won't work, but I rarely ever will, give more than like 3 reasons why it will work, but I can have a list this long of all the reasons it's not going to work. And oh, I just don't have this, I don't have that, everything's not lined up or whatever, whatever it is. And then you come along and then I hear stories like you're a Midwest girl, but you have your own business already. So
Mhm.
so, there's reasonable belief that you could make this go. So, then your best and favorite opportunity shows up in California. But tell me this, how did you go full bore then with this whole retreat thing in California? How did you get that started? How did you know what to do? Did the universe place people in your path? What brought all that together?
Oh, this is such a great question. It was something it was something I wanted very badly. And I had such a fire in me that I did go full out with it. And I was like, all right, let's build a website. Let's do this. I had already been working one-on-one with a business coach. So it was really nice. She was able to kind of walk me through, these are the steps we need to take. This is how you need to start networking and X, Y, and Z. And a huge part of my success so far with really starting this new business is I actually did join Taylor Simpson's Mastermind
Oh,
prior to knowing I was going to move. So I wasn't aware I was going to move. I had no
you're
clue.
kidding me. So
Literally. So this is the story. This is insane.
I
One
love this
day,
story. Tell me.
yes, I woke up, and at that time in my life, I was doing like card pull, like an Oracle deck card pulls of I would do one for business and one for personal every single day.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Um,
I
yeah,
rarely separate them. That's a good idea.
yeah, it was fun. And it was kind of just like fun to see the two different messages. And of course, they always would like overlap or that type of
Yeah,
thing.
naturally.
But one morning I woke up and the card I pulled for business said yes. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. Like, I wonder what the description is. So I like pull up the little book and I'm like reading it. And the description says, yes, 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 yes. Just say yes. And I'm like, I didn't ask a question. Like, what do you mean say yes?
What do you mean?
I didn't ask a question. I'm not debating anything. Like, this is ridiculous. And all day I'm like, that is like the dumbest card. I said, this is stuff is fake. Like, I don't believe in
Stupid
it.
deck.
Yeah. I don't believe in it anymore. And then literally 3 hours later,
Oh
I
my
get a
God.
voice memo from Taylor in my DMs. And
Wow.
her and I had been talking a little bit. We knew of each other, but we didn't know each other well. And she was like, hey girl, I'm hosting a mastermind. I think you would be an amazing fit for this mastermind. So I would like love to, if you're interested, I'd love to chat with you more about it. And at that point in my life, I had really been wanting to do a mastermind, but it wasn't on my radar. And so
Because
I
again, that's a Western, California thing. That doesn't happen in Midwest. Okay.
no, and
That kind
not
of
at
stuff
all.
is not typical at all for us.
No, and it was so funny. So I like got that invitation. I was like, oh, maybe this is what I'm supposed to say yes to. Maybe
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
it.
So you just know, come what may, I'm going to make it work because I got the yes card.
Totally. Exactly. And so we end up doing a call and I'm like, all right, I'm in. And then it was so funny within less than a week of the mastermind starting, Taylor was like, oh, wait, you're an event planner? Oh, I'm hosting 2 retreats in Costa Rica. Can I hire you to do those? So again, it's just listening to the nudges. And it's like, if I wouldn't have said yes to that opportunity, and if I had said yes to joining this mastermind, then I would have never had the opportunity to do that retreat in Costa Rica. And from doing that retreat in Costa Rica, the number of people like yourself that I've gotten connected with, and the number of
Yes.
people that have found me from Taylor posting about me being at her retreat, that have said, oh my gosh, I saw you on Taylor's Instagram stories. I want to host a retreat. Can we set up a call? And that it's just been so amazing. So just knowing, like, back in, I don't remember when that was. I think that was September or October.
Yeah,
That
that's what I was gonna
I
say. What's
got
the
that
time lapse
nudge.
here? Because it seemed to like go
Yeah.
in hyper speed. It seems like if I've got the timeline right, like since the fall, it just seems like, you know.
Literally, it went so fast. I think I like that whole situation of joining the mastermind, I think happened in September, and we didn't start the mastermind until January. So that happened in September. We found out we were moving at the beginning of October. We moved by the end of November. Mastermind started in January, hired, went to Costa Rica in March.
Okay. So
So yeah.
right there, I'm going to pause right there because that is such a pivotal part of this. It's that action step. You are just,
Mhm.
like you said, taking that action and joining Taylor Simpson because, again, you don't know. That's a big investment when you join a mastermind group. It's not a small investment for those of you who aren't in that world and don't know. I mean, this is a sizable or considerable that you have to think about it to join it. So there
Yeah,
has to be some really good, compelling reason that you're going to do this. There has to be some reasonable belief that something's going to be on the other end of that. Right. So,
totally. Yeah.
and the fact that you did it right then and then boom, 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 everything that you had been desiring started to unroll. I've got chills. I've got chills
I
because
know.
that's exactly it. People, y'all need to listen to her story because she's just yet another story of how this works. It's taking action, taking that faith step and then
Mhm.
inspired action and seeing what cards lay themselves out in front of you because they like I always think of it. I don't know why this is the stupidest random example, but I don't know. Like have you ever seen the Billie Jean video, like Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, and
Yeah.
like the squares light up? Come on now. He lights up, he goes to step down and the square lights up. I'm like, that's how I always see like these things unfolding, like how the universe just lights up your path, literally, like the next step lights up, like step here, now step here, now
Mhm.
step here. And it seems to me like my friend here is been living that in real life. And
Totally. And I mean, there had been many, 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 there had probably been more moments in my life that I haven't done that
yes,
and missed opportunities and seen that how I have missed opportunities. And so I think for some people, like, yes, it's scary to step off the ledge. Yes, it is scary to invest in yourself. It's scary
it
to,
is. It
move
is.
across the country with unknown of like what's going to happen. It's
Yeah, like how
also
are we
scary.
supporting ourselves? We have to sustain a life, find a place to live, whatever. You know.
Totally. But it's like you have to check in with that like gut feeling of like, does this feel right to me? And if it is a yes, then you have to take action on it. So I'm so grateful that I did take action on it. And I'm so grateful to have amazing people in my life like Taylor, who have introduced me to
Yes.
even more amazing people like yourself.
Oh my God, it is amazing though. I mean, and again, the speed with which it happened is just, please, everybody listen to this because that's really what it is. Myself included is like, making some moves and just recently, as recent as yesterday, made a big move, a big investment in myself. And all of a sudden everything is starting to like ideas and people are starting to kind of come into alignment.
Mhm.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and that's really the key, is keep moving forward because there's the passive action that's easy for us, right? We can quickly, oh, let's call that venue for you. Like, oh, we'll get all these venues, we'll get all these things, but selling ourselves, hard to do. All right. Like to figuring out some of the business parts of it that we don't know, very hard to do. So how did
Yeah.
you set this? So you had a business coach. So she helped you structure the whole thing as far
Yep.
as I'm sure like the infrastructure of your business and how to
Mhm.
set it up, and then I'm assuming how to like market it and this and that, right?
Yeah.
so
Yep.
sh-
Mhm.
so she did that. Now what does a day in the life of a typical, if there is such a thing, typical event? Do you do big and small events, or do you do like Taylor Simpson size, or do you do everything, or what is your niche there?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, there is no typical day ever because
Yep.
some
I wouldn't
days
think
I
so.
am sitting on my couch in San Diego and some days I am in Costa Rica chasing down howler monkeys. So, there's no typical
Yeah,
day
yeah, the
at
howler
all.
monkeys.
So mainly what I focus on is retreats for female entrepreneurs. So I absolutely, especially like spiritual retreats or business focused retreats, that is just like where my jam is at.
That's
Exactly.
me. I'm your
Um,
girl. Yeah.
Yes, I love watching. One of my favorite things in the entire world is I'm big about like I want to see the impact that the event makes. And so watching like for example in Costa Rica, there were two different groups and watching Taylor coach these women and create these massive transformations in these women and have been seeing what they've been doing with their lives and with their business since they've gotten home. I mean, some of them have opened businesses, some of them have quit jobs, some of them have like just completely
Mm,
like moved
mm.
locations. And it's just so amazing to see how a 5-day experience can literally change your entire life. So
Transform. It
that's what
can.
fuels my fire. a
Well,
hundred
that's what
percent.
I was going to ask you. What is your greatest thing that you love to see? What's the greatest part of your job? Is it that, or what else is it? Is it like, I love it when a plan comes together? Are you that girl? Are you like the OCD planner kind of thing? And like you freaking just love it when a plan goes exactly as you put it
I
together?
mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, I get so much satisfaction. But I think at the end of the day is like seeing like that transformation that the attendees have. But
Mm,
in addition to that, also seeing the retreat host
mhm,
just stand in their zone of genius and stand in their
mm.
power and do what they're amazing at and not worry about dumb stuff like is coffee made or does the
Yes,
shuttle driver
yes.
in?
Oh, stuff like that that
Or
gets it so, off of our,
yeah,
gets me off my game. Like things like that get
totally.
me off my game.
It's just so like again going back to Taylor, it was so amazing just watching her just sit there and like fully coach these women and knowing in the morning like she was up in her room meditating and drinking tea and doing her skincare routine and I was downstairs making sure everybody had coffee, making sure everybody had tea, making sure the chef arrived. Like
Love it.
that kind of stuff fuels my fire knowing that I my love language is acts of service. So like knowing I can
Oh,
take care of somebody and make
perfect.
sure that they are like happy and fulfilled and doing their thing, like that makes me happy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is, there's just something for everybody. It's like that is something that you love, and that would give me anxiety over the top. Like I would be
Yep.
nonstop anxiety. Can I do it? And do I do it? Especially like I'm a mom. So, all I ever do is serve, 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 serve. I'm always serving, and I love to do it. But look, when I do it for a group of people that I don't know, like let's say like in the corporate world or something like that, my anxiety will be off the charts. And so you do
Totally.
it with such presence and such gratitude and intentionality. And I think that's what the difference maker. Not only is it obviously you're in your zone of genius while you're letting like Taylor and whoever else be in their zone, but it's
Oh
because
yeah.
you're in your zone. That's why it
Mm,
works. You know.
absolutely. And yes, I mean, like you said, yes, we all have our zones of genius. And I told Taylor multiple times, I said, sitting and watching you coach these women, if I was in your shoes, I would want to throw up. Like if somebody was like, I'm just feeling like I might want to leave my husband, I would like sit there stone cold and be like, okay, go journal about that and come back to me
Yeah,
and
like,
let me know what you
we'll get back to that.
where it's like Taylor, like is just like, she, and like healers, like just
Yes.
guide them through that, and that's such a gift, and that's something that I don't personally like. That's not my zone of genius at all. So
Right.
I'm so happy to support somebody that is in that zone of genius.
Oh
That
my.
like it just makes me excited.
And it makes us so happy to have somebody alongside, because that's such a comfort. Because when I'm thinking of setting up retreats or whatever, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and then COVID came. So
Hmm.
then talk about being a staller anyway. And then COVID comes along. I was the ultimate staller of where,
Uh-huh.
I put a complete brakes on everything. And so that just completely threw me off my game. But yeah, it's that kind of stuff. It's the, oh, well, then who will take care of and transition to this next event? And who will have that set up then?
Hmm.
And then what if I can't trust, I bring somebody in and they're not good at it,
Yeah.
or they're like, lagging behind and not like on it, because then I would
Oh,
want
for
to
sure. Well,
transition
and it's
differently.
It's really funny. A lot of people say to me, I have a team that can plan my retreat, or, oh, it's like I can bring my sister or my friend and they can execute. And you totally can. But the difference is that I always tell people is like, yes, it's an investment to invest in a retreat
Yeah.
planner. However, you're gaining back so much time that
Mhm.
you can sell another program, sell another retreat. You can add more
Right.
coaching hours. Like you can make that investment so quickly because a retreat planner and an event planner helps you again stay in your zone of genius, and you're not worrying about crazy things like you just said of like, how do I do a shuttle schedule, or like, wait,
Yes.
what
Oh
I
yeah, the shuttles. Oh
yeah,
my God. The shuttles alone I would be 6 feet under at that point. Like I'm done.
exactly,
I'm out. I'm
especially in
out.
foreign countries, like
Yes,
when they
no.
might not speak
I know.
English, or like, yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah.
Oh my God, you are special that you can do that. There is no chance. I can't even like get through my own plane ticket situation with any kind of feeling of ease. I'm always like, oh God, is my number? I'm like just
Totally.
flustered, especially like going through customs. I always laugh in some of like the coaching programs that I do. I will talk about, how attitude and how you attract what you're thinking of.
Mhm.
And every time I was pre all of this, nervous Nelly, always thinking something's going wrong, overthinking the heck out of everything. So went to like Punta Cana, whatever. My son and some of his friends and some of the moms all went to Punta
Mhm.
Cana. Long story short, attitude. Everyone else is, having so much fun going to the airport, drinking, ooh, so excited. And then here's me. I'm all worried about it. And I'm worried about, oh God, going through customs, whatever. Who do you think out of that entire group got stopped at customs?
You did.
Me. Of course
Yep.
it was me. Of course, because I was obsessively thinking about it.
Yep.
So, again, that just goes to show that how you think about things make it happen in reality. So, I mean, if you're going
Totally.
to be worried and thinking about it. So, the fact that you can just naturally approach these things with ease, that's a gift
Mhm.
because I still couldn't, even though I've done a lot of work since then, I still would have that that little,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. So
Yep.
tell me what are some of the more unusual things that you have had to do for like as you set up these events because you did some really sweet things like with Taylor's event, but what's some of the more fun that you've had to get really freaking creative and do that?
Oh, yeah, that's fun. I love that I get to reflect each retreat host personality and what they like, what it feels inspired to them. So like if it's even from finding gift sponsors for like swag bags or daily gifts, like finding things that feel really unique to the retreat host versus
Mm.
just like,
Oh,
blanket things.
love that.
Or like one of the things we did in Costa Rica, which was so much fun, is my wedding planning business, I actually had a floral design element to it for a while. So I know how to design flowers, and I taught everybody how to make flower crowns. And we thought, oh yeah, that'll be something fun that we'll just do for one of the evenings, like nothing wild. And those flower crowns, I think, came out every single night, and we all wore them and danced and like
Oh,
sang along
really?
and
That
had
was like a
fun.
total embodiment of the vibe that's going on
Totally.
there.
And so like that kind of stuff is really fun to me. And don't get me wrong, like doing the boat tours and that kind of stuff. But like one
No,
of
the
the things I
creative stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I love the creative stuff. And I also love finding like off the beaten path, really unique, authentic experiences as well. So, like in Costa Rica, we also did, we went to a cacao farm and we ended up making friends with the owner. It's a teeny tiny cacao farm and he had us under a little hut, and we ended up making friends with the owner, and he's coming out with a skincare line. And like
Stop
all of us
it.
are just like, we're all WhatsApp friends with him now, and we chat with him.
What's up, friends?
Yeah, it's really cool to see that kind of stuff happen, and to find those really unique experiences that feel really fitting to the retreat host and
Mm.
authentic to the experience that they're trying to give.
Oh my gosh, you are my human. I mean, like that's the kind of stuff that is right in my wheelhouse. Like I love that sweet creativity, something that's
Mhm.
unpredictable. That's kind of like the route I'm going with mine is an experiential retreat. Like all
Yes.
y'all people are asleep, okay? Everyone
Yep.
is asleep, and I'm going to broaden your horizons to things that you never even thought of, things that are just very kind of sumptuous about life and flowers. That's so funny when you said flowers. I'm like, yeah. Flowers is one of them. Like
Yeah.
just really, because you get such good vibes when you look at beauty like that,
Oh,
and
for
like that's
sure.
like a whole other, it's not just, oh, a flower is a flower, but when you are awake, a flower is like, oh God, that's so beautiful. Or you see like a
Mhm.
flower arrangement or something like really stunning like that. That just speaks to me, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of other people. And I love that you do that. And the cacao farm, shut up. I mean, how fun is that? How did you even find that guy? How did you find him?
Yeah, I think I found him on Google or something like that. And then I found him on Google, booked him through the town that we were stayed at was super small and booked him through like the town's information center. And then like we made friends with him and then we all exchanged WhatsApps and now he's like a good friend of ours. And he was like, yeah, for future, just WhatsApp me and we'll do this separate. So it's just making those kinds of connections and then also like allowing the attendees to also make those kinds of connections is really exciting to me versus like going to a super popular touristy farm where, they have a gift shop at the end and it just doesn't feel.
See, yes. Oh my God. Again, you are my human. I mean, I hate that. I hate the predictable, and I
Mhm.
love how your gift is eschew the predictable and go for the unpredictable. And
Yes.
and I love that. And I love I would be curious about how you do the whole swag bag. See, that's another thing for retreat hosts that's a big detail in like the fact that take care of that, or you
Yeah.
are on top of that. But
Totally.
that's
Yeah. I mean, it's been a lot of fun for me, like working with really amazing brands and companies that feel super aligned that also want to support these women that are attending these retreats. So it's one of my actually favorite things to do. And I love
really.
pitching companies. Oh yeah, I think it's so much fun. I was like, I think I could do PR in another
Oh
lifetime.
my God,
But
and I was in PR and I hate doing that.
oh
Well, you know
yeah,
what it
really?
is though? I hate doing it for myself though. I think that's the difference is
uh
like, because I'm representing myself, where in PR, I could represent the brand or the company that I was working for, or,
yes.
the action group or whatever that I was doing it for. So that was different. I could hide behind it because it really wasn't about me. But when it's about you, that's a little more
Mhm.
naked bear out there. And then, you're vulnerable.
True.
And
Oh, no,
then
I agree. I mean, I have way more success pitching companies for my clients than myself because I
isn't
just think
that
like
funny? I
I
mean,
think there's a worthiness issue in there
yes, it
probably.
is. See, that's more work needs to be done, right? I mean,
Exactly.
this is like it exposed it like nothing else. It's that
Yes.
worthiness part of it that you
Yep.
just feel like, oh, but are they receptive to it? Are the companies I mean,
Oh,
do they
yeah.
feel like it's a symbiotic relationship where like they're getting they're
Yes.
getting a platform, but then like,
Absolutely. And that's where I go back to it's kind of like a fun creative game for me of okay, what makes sense for this particular retreat? If I'm pitching a retreat in Bali, if we need swag bag gifts, does a skateboard company seem like a good fit? No. So we're not going to do that. But
yeah.
does a like aromatherapy room mist feel like
Mm.
a good fit? Absolutely.
Mm.
So I think it's just, and if it's like a health and wellness retreat, does pitching a
Yes.
cupcake company make sense? Probably not. Just
Yeah.
probably not.
Probably
But
not.
pitching, Organifi, like green juice or something like that, that feels like a great fit. So just like, I think that's really fun for me is the creative side of, okay, what really meshes well with the retreat host, their
Yeah.
values, and also what meshes with this retreat and would make the most sense and would also support the journey that they're on and the transformation that they're embodying during this event. So it's just finding like little fun gifts to
Amazing.
spoil them with that make sense along the way.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I mean, again, because that's what makes it that little extra notch of specialness is
Yes.
just going those extra touches. I mean, I have
Hmm.
definitely always been like that. You kind of know who you are. You look back upon your life and you find out like, oh yeah, I always have done that. Like I
Yeah.
don't just do that for you, but like I've always been that way.
Yeah.
Like I'm room mom lady, where you're doing all the parties and things for kids parties. Of course, I'm not coming in with just the white napkins and the white plates. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. We're fluffing up everything. We've got all the fun, cute, festive stuff. So that has
Mhm.
just always been an embodiment of who I am. So it would be really
Wow.
hard for me to get with somebody who is antiseptic and just very plain Jane, but looking to check the
Totally.
box, which is great, but that's not enough. That's not going to
Exactly.
cut it
Yes.
for, my thought process,
Absolutely. Yes. You need the creativity and you need the
Yes.
organized side. You need those to blend together. Yeah.
Yes. And you're like a great, perfect embodiment of that, because obviously I saw your creativity on display, but now I'm getting a little bit more a sense of the behind the scenes, Brooke, the
Yes.
organized and you're very methodical,
Mm.
and that's great. And so again, anyone out there who is looking to do this, it sounds like her schedule's filling up though. So I'm just saying, you
It is.
best get
Yes.
on it. And because she is definitely doing her thing, and check her out. And before I let you go, why don't you tell us where we can find you, and then we'll close this thing out, because I mean, you are a superstar. I mean, you are
Yes.
really just really gifted at what you do. I mean, it
Oh.
it shows. And even just from the snippets that I have had some contact with you, I was completely dazzled by what you're doing.
Well,
Dazzled.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. The best way to hang out with me, interact with me is on Instagram at Brooke Dumas Retreats. There's underscores in between Brooke and Dumas.
Okay.
And then if you are thinking about hosting a retreat and you want to go ahead and snag, I have a free retreat pricing formula in the link in my bio. It will
Hey,
walk you through everything that you need to consider before you establish
awesome.
your retreat pricing, not only to make sure that you break even, but you also get paid because,
That would be nice.
if you're going to do these
It is
things,
a business. Yeah.
it is a business and you do
Yeah.
want to get paid. And yes, I always tell people, on the first one, you might just break even and that's fine.
Mhm.
But the goal is eventually, I have many clients that make six figures and profit a lot of money off of retreats. So there is a
Wow.
business to do it. So download that retreat pricing formula and
All right.
use that to establish your ticket pricing for your retreat.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. Well, I will definitely put your contact information in the show notes, and be following along on your progress, and share some of your, fun events. You have one in Bali. How awesome is that? When is that going to be? I mean, like, is that
Oh, I
next
don't
year?
have one right now because
But-
unfortunately I was supposed to. Bali is very closed right now.
Oh, they
So we're just
are.
trying to find some new ones. But yeah, we
So
want to have
you're
some.
kicking it around. Yeah,
We're
Bali's
kicking
in
it
the
around.
conversation.
We're looking at Greece. We're looking at some other options. So,
Hmm.
I mean, just, horrible locations to travel
That's
to.
just terrible. Your job sucks. I mean, like, it just totally sucks.
Yeah, I
As I
know.
sit in, Ohio, I'm like, Bali, Ohio, Bali.
Ohio.
Huh, it's really close. It's really
I
close,
know.
but
It's hard to
no.
pick.
Well, we'll get moving on. I mean, there's no doubt I'm not staying here forever. So
Hmm.
we'll see where
Awesome.
this is going. But your story is inspiring for me, because you took chances, and the universe always has your back, as they always say.
Yes.
Just God, universe, whoever it is that you are knowing as your source, then it takes inspired faith, belief, and action. And
It
you're
does.
a living proof of that. So I freaking love your story. So can't wait to see where you go next. I'll be following along. Like I said, share some of your stories, and anyone who is looking to do any size retreat, we've got a good content person here who can at least
Mhm.
guide you, even if she can't be the coordinator for you. She's just a really good source. So check her out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Awesome. Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for joining me today, Brooke, and best of luck. And I'll be checking in with you later. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya.